Hello, John Talley here with Boats.net. I want to welcome you to the first in our series of videos diagnosing problems with outboard motor ignition systems. All outboard motors require three basic things: fuel, air, and a source of ignition. If you are sure your outboard is getting fuel and air but has difficulty starting, misfires once it's running, or is failing to start at all, the problem is most likely that the ignition system is failing to do its job properly. But before you can diagnose what and where the problem might be, you need to have a basic understanding of what your outboard ignition system does and how it works. So let's get started. The ignition system on an outboard is responsible for producing an electrical spark, which is used to ignite the mixture of fuel and air within the cylinder or cylinders. In the case of a two-stroke motor, the fuel and air mixture also contains a small amount of oil to provide lubrication for the engine. Now, the spark must occur at the precise moment the piston has fully compressed the fuel-air mixture within the cylinder, and the spark must be strong enough to ensure complete combustion of all the fuel. In addition, if the engine has more than one cylinder, the ignition system must deliver a spark to each of the cylinders at the precise moment of full compression. Lastly, the ignition system must also adjust the precise timing of each spark to correspond with the speed of the engine increasing and decreasing. For example, as the engine speeds up, a higher RPM, the ignition system will need to generate sparks more frequently. And as the engine slows down, a lower RPM, the ignition system will need to generate sparks less frequently. Now, as you would expect, outboard ignition systems, well, they've changed over the years as technology has developed. And the size and complexity of a modern outboard motor has demanded ever more accurate and technical ignition systems. However, basic principles, designs, and layouts of ignition systems they're all very similar. An outboard's ignition system consists of a stator, which generates the power to supply the ignition system, but it also supplies power to recharge the boat's batteries. The stator is located beneath the flywheel and uses the rotation of the engine to generate electrical power. As the engine rotates, it also rotates the flywheel, and this has a set of magnets attached to it. The stator's wire coils convert the rotating magnetic fields into low voltage AC current. But before the batteries can be used, it has to convert this current into low voltage DC current. Now, the job of the regulator rectifier is to convert this AC current into a DC current. The low voltage AC current from the stator passes through a regulator rectifier unit, which converts the power to a low voltage DC current. The regulator rectifier also regulates the amount of current flowing into the ignition system so there's no power spikes that might damage other components of the system. Now, I want to make a note here. Although most outboards such as Yamaha, Johnson, Evinrude, Suzuki, Tohatsu, and Mariner use stators, some more recent Mercury and Honda outboards use alternators. An alternator is basically a stator, a regulator, and a rectifier all rolled into one. An alternator generates AC current, converts it into DC current, and regulates the current's output into the ignition system and back into the battery, just as a regulator rectifier unit does. Now, the pulsar coil is a switch that sends or pulses a trigger signal to the outboard CDI module. Now, the capacitor discharge ignition module, CDI, takes a steady flow of low voltage DC current from the regulator, briefly stores it, and allows the current to charge and the voltage to build up. When the CDI module receives the trigger signal from the pulsar coil, it rapidly discharges the now higher voltage current into the ignition coil. Now, the ignition coil charges the current passing through it to an extremely high voltage. Now, as the current from the CDI passes through the coils within the ignition coil, it is charged to as much as 40,000 volts, depending on the outboard. This incredibly high voltage is the level required for the electrical energy to jump across the spark plug gap and create a robust spark. The spark plug wire carries the high voltage current from the ignition coil down to the spark plug itself. Now, spark plug wires are heavily insulated to prevent the extreme high voltage current from escaping by arcing across the power head or to any other grounded metal it can find. Any voltage loss along the spark plug wires will mean a loss of strength in the spark from the spark plug itself. Now, I do want to make another note. On more modern outboards, the ignition coil connects directly to the spark plug, and that does away with the need for the spark plug wire completely. On this type of outboard, there will be separate ignition coils for each spark plug. The high voltage current reaches the gap at the end of the spark plug and jumps across, creating a spark. Now, conditions must be just right for the electrical current to make this jump on the spark plug. If the gap is too wide or too narrow, if the electrodes are corroded, or if the firing head of the spark is contaminated with carbon or oil, the spark won't be strong enough or may not happen at all. Similarly, if the electrical current is too weak, the spark may not be sufficient to cause effective combustion of the compressed fuel and air mixture within the cylinder. And as we said earlier, some modern outboards use different technologies from the typical ignition system we've just outlined. For example, some newer outboards have done away with much of the ignition system componentry, such as the CDI and pulsar coil. They have replaced them with an all-in-one control box capable of performing all the regular ignition system functions plus many more. These newer ECM modules and electronic control units incorporate sensors for engine RPM, water temperature, manifold pressure, oil pressure, and electronic fuel timing. Now, using this data, the ECUs and ECMs ensure incredibly precise and efficient ignition timing systems. Finally, we need to mention that all ignition systems have a kill switch. All outboards have a method of shutting down the motor. On smaller outboards, it is typically a simple on-off button on the tiller handle, while on larger units, it's usually an on-off key switch. Now, some kill switches create a short circuit that starves the ignition coils of the electrical current long enough for the ignition system to stop making sparks and thus stopping the engine. Other kill switches create an open electrical circuit when they're in the on position, but break that circuit when in the off position so that the ignition system has no electrical power with which to function. Either way, a problem with your outboard's kill switch can just as easily prevent your ignition system from functioning properly as a problem with any of the systems more integral to the components. Well, now that we know how your outboard ignition system works, let's start fixing it. We've put together a video testing and diagnosing spark plug issues and a video testing and diagnosing issues with the other ignition system components. So just click on the links on the screen to watch those. You can also visit the Boats.net YouTube channel to see these videos and hundreds of others showing you how to service, maintain, and repair your outboard motor. We just want to say thank you for shopping here with us at Boats.net, and we will see you in the next video. Y'all have a great day.